Well, everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer. Welcome to Wasteland Talks, my weekly talk show where I talk about whatever the hell I want. And this week we're doing a spoiler talk for Dakota Johnson's new film, as my buddy Rod here is pointing out. Rod is Dakota Johnson's number one fan. Is that correct, Rod?
Oh, stop. Oh, stop. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I am, Shane. Yes, I am.
And he isn't even getting paid by her PR team or anything like that, which maybe she will. Hopefully, she's watching. Hook Rod up.
Thank you.
Uh, the amount of time that I hear Rod talking about Dakota Johnson, you should be getting paid for it. But we are here to do a spoiler talk of Max's new streaming comedy, Am I Okay, starring Dakota Johnson. And this film, what premiered at Sundance like 2 years ago, and then is finally like didn't get a theatrical run, finally wound up on a streamer, and Max just plopped it on a Thursday, and it's an absolute delight for an hour and 26 minutes. It's lean, it's fun. Now, this film is about Lucy and Jane have been best friends their entire lives. Only when Lucy embarks on a personal journey will she face a test of her friendship and her sense of self on a path she may not be entirely ready to take. And Dakota Johnson is playing Lucy, and Sonoya Mizuno is playing Jane. And this is co-directed by Stephanie Allen and Tig Notaro. I did not realize that until I looked it up after I watched the movie, and that makes a lot more sense why Tig Notaro pops up for one scene in it.
And it
Which
happens to be my least favorite scene of the entire film, to be honest with you.
it's funny because I've heard people like it was such a funny scene thrown in, and I'm like, I get the joke, I get what it was going for. It is what it is.
Right.
It's kind of there. But it's one of those like grating kind of annoying comedy bits where it's just like if you're okay with that like grating kind of comedy bit of just like I'm gonna incessantly keep asking you to do this thing and you're gonna ignore me and you're gonna be pouty about it. And I'm like, yep, Tignataro played it off well though. But this is such a this film really hit me, and I was so invested in this friendship to the point where this film has one of those moments where like they're texting each other, and you see the text on the screen, and it's just like they rethink what they're gonna say and delete something and send it. I was literally sitting there in my recliner watching this, being like, "Just say you miss her." I was that invested by that point in the movie where I'm just like, I'm yelling at my TV screen. So this movie worked for me, obviously. Rod, what were some of your general thoughts on Am I Okay?
So speaking of Sundance, I actually got to see this for the virtual Sundance a couple of years ago. That was the year the Dakota Johnson doubleheader of that and Cha Cha Real Smooth. So
Mm,
I was living large at Sundance
yes.
virtually that year, Shane. Um, that Am I Okay was actually the first film I watched, and then Cha Cha Real Smooth, I think was one of the last films I got to watch at Sundance. And yeah, I really, really dug it at Sundance. And so I was like, okay, Cha Cha Real Smooth got picked up by Apple. And then I think Am I Okay got picked up by WB, HBO, when it was called HBO Max. Then, of course, they went through
Mm.
all that transition. And I was like, is this film ever going to come out? And, it went by last year, no release date still. And then all of a sudden, I mean, this year, I remember Dakota Johnson did an interview or or the director did an interview or something like a couple months ago saying, we've got a release date, but we just can't say anything. So I'm like, okay, all right, it's coming out this year. When's it coming out? And then they just dropped the trailer all of a sudden. 2 weeks. Am I okay?
What was this, Netflix? They pull that shit.
Well, yeah, yeah, exactly. I was like, well, see, it wasn't Netflix. But Netflix would have had already dropped it and then put out a trailer, Shane. Okay, that's what Netflix does. That's how I found out about Under Paris. That great shark
Oh,
movie.
which I watched these both that morning on Friday last week,
That's a
which
great double feature.
this was a lot better.
Yeah.
I was all about the Berenice Bejo. It was nice seeing her in something after The Artist. You go from starring co-lead in The Artist to being in a silly shark movie on Netflix.
So yeah, I mean going back to Am I Okay? I now that I had it's been 2 years since I last saw it. I was wondering like, is it gonna hit the same way it hit me 2 years ago? Since then, Dakota had Cha Cha Real Smooth and then Madam Web. So it's hey, Madam Web is a fantastic comic book film, pure artistry. Anyway,
Okay.
so I was not in town, see, when it came out. I was actually in, where was I last week, Shane? Florida. So did I stay up till 3 a.m., Shane, to check this out? You're damn right I did. I woke up at three
There you
o'clock in the
go.
morning to check it out, and I still loved it. I absolutely adore this movie. I can't say it's my favorite Dakota Johnson film. That still belongs to Cha Cha Real Smooth. Shane. That film just holds a real special place in my heart.
Mhm.
Um, but it's top five. I gotta like go back and
Mhm.
look at my Dakota Johnson rankings or whatever. But it's up there with that and Our Friend, Bad Times, and The Lost Daughter. I feel like for me personally, it's just what separates this from the others, though, Shane, of how I mean, it's like the good one. Like it's just so easygoing. It's not heavy emotionally. I mean, there's good
It's
emotional beats.
deceptively like it's still poignant and gets
Yes,
across the emotions of it. But this is like an easy, nice hour and 25-minute
it
watch.
is. It's brisk. The friendship is. I think you said this in your review, Shane. Yes, I watched your review, Shane. I got you back. Um, Authentic. Everything in here just
Yep.
felt authentic and real. And that's why I appreciate about what I appreciate about the first time I watched it a couple years ago. I just bought into this friendship. Like from minute one,
Mhm.
you see them on screen. You're like, I buy these two. They're just ordering food at a restaurant, it's just delightful. I could do a whole other movie of these two.
Which we'll obviously get to the ending for this, but like from the start, like you said, there's just an authenticity about the dynamic between the two of them.
Mhm.
And they have such great chemistry as friends. And there's a lot of challenges that come up. And like you can tell Jane has the feeling that she has to hold things together. And
Yes.
Lucy doesn't really know what she wants to do with her life. And more importantly, she realized, like we realize along with her, that there's a deeper aspect of her life, which is her sexuality, that's not being fully explored and accepted by herself, let
Hmm.
alone anybody else. And I love the journey that she goes on. And there's definitely moments where like it's heartbreaking. And this might not be my favorite Dakota Johnson film, 100% Bad Times at the El Royale. But I think this is my favorite performance of hers. And I think
Interesting.
there's a lot of moments where like she's breaking down crying, just trying to process all of this. And it
Mhm.
hits. It hits really hard. You have Kiersey Clemens character who I've seen some reviews complain that she's like, manic pixie dream girl kind of thing. But like the point is, she's that kind of like she's kind of playing around. Like she's playing lesbian here. And she's young, she's doing that little like, bit of exploring and stuff like that. And that's what's so heartbreaking with the dynamic with Dakota Johnson's Lucy is because like this is so real for her. And this is so scary for her because she has to process this and like this is her and her coming to grips with that. And like I kind of saw it coming. The flirting was so obvious, and you can tell she was just being very flirtatious and wanting to mess around and play around. And like, I really like Kiersey Clemens. I think she plays that role well. It's not a deep role, it's a very specific role that she's playing for to make this film work. But the thing is, it's like this film could get sexy. Like those scenes with the two of them just hanging out, I'm like, just kiss already. Where just like there's some electricity in there, whether it's playful or authentic or not. But there's definitely those kinds of moments in
Yeah, I think going, talking about the Kiersey Clemens character, because she said she was on the spectrum when talking about her sexuality and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, I see where this is going. I see where this is going. And, you know, I I like the direction they took that. I'm glad they didn't, end up together or whatever, because I feel like that Lucy needed to kind of go through that sort of awkwardness slash heartbreak. Because like you said, Kirsten Clemens, she was just playing. She was just having fun. She's experimenting or whatever.
it.
But she also kind of took advantage of Lucy because of her own issues, her own love issues or whatever. So yeah, to see where Dakota's character starts though, Shane, from being like this really shy, dorky,
Mhm.
kind of like, I don't really want to do anything kind of girl to by the end of this, Shane, she's going on dates.
Yeah.
She's ordering different foods at the diner now. She's just more confident in
Yep.
herself.
And there's that little sequence where she's dating. And yeah, some of them are awkward, but the thing is, it's normal. And
Yes.
I think that's the most important thing for Lucy to realize is that just because she's a lesbian and attracted to women doesn't mean she can't like there's still normalcy to like, yeah, Hayden still sucks. and going through like this awkward moments and stuff. But like that one woman that she made that connection with, like you could tell, like they really hit it off. And
That was
obviously
the
there's
last date, right? The
yeah,
very last,
there's
yeah.
obviously how the movie ends, which we'll get to at the end. That's probably not going to happen. But
Yeah.
like, at least there's that. She had a win. And I think that's the most important thing that, hey, I can meet somebody and I can
Yes.
connect with people. And that was the most important thing because, the going out clubbing wasn't the best idea, but Jane sure had a fun time.
I'm glad you said that because that's where I wanted to kind of lean towards next with this review, Shan, is Lucy and Jane. They both, when their feud happens, you understand both points of view.
Yes.
Not saying I'm a Dakota Homer, Shane, but I lean more towards Lucy's side just because with Jane's character, she is a bit controlling, she is a bit bossy, and you see that play out when the second half of the film kind of really does focus on her character a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
and the own struggles with her relationship. What was the boyfriend's name again, Shane?
Danny,
Yeah,
played
Danny.
by Jermaine Fowler.
Well, he was great by the way, and the limited
Yep.
screen time he did have. I really
Mm-hmm.
did enjoy him in this movie. That whole scene at the dinner table on her birthday of all freaking days to have that
Mm-hmm.
conversation of like I don't want to go.
It's like you didn't even ask. That was the moment I'm just like, damn.
Yeah, worst time to have a conversation, but he was 100% correct. Like you didn't ask, you just assumed. And that's the problem with her character. And I'm glad she kind of realized that as the film went on, as the film was progressing. But I'm glad Lucy needs Jane and Jane needs Lucy. That's why the relationship works so
Mm-hmm.
well because she was pushing Lucy, but I think she pushed Lucy just a little bit too far.
Yeah. Well, and Jane would like you to think that Lucy needs Jane. And I think by the end of the film helps us all realize that they needed each other.
Correct.
And Lucy had the confidence by the end to be like, no, you need me.
Yes.
And that was one of my favorite moments of Dakota Johnson's performance is like that. Like there's just like an energy there. There's just a charm there. I'm just like, yeah, you're right. She does need you. And, they have that kind of dynamic. And like you have that scene where it's all about Jane wanting to take her out to a club because that's how you're gonna find somebody. But Lucy doesn't like that.
Right.
Jane starts dancing and making out with other women, which like you sure are having a great time.
Exactly.
And it's like you can tell Lucy's a bit is an introvert and
Yes.
needs to process this in her own way. And Jane's trying to push her to process it in how Jane would process it.
Exactly.
And Lucy, I get it. It's such a big thing to lose your best friend to moving halfway across the world. There were, I think Jane felt hurt because Lucy didn't really make any effort to even like she was happy for Jane in that situation, which I get it. That's a hard thing to be happy about for you as an individual, but like they each have their reasons for being frustrated with each other. And I love the fact that this film, when it really comes down to it, is realizing that both of them had to go on their own journeys to grow
Mhm.
as individuals so that their relationship can grow as friends.
I think Lucy needed that separation more than Jane needed that separation. Like Jane just needed just to back off a little bit. Lucy needed
Yes.
that time away from Jane just so she could discover, like you said, self-discovery.
Yep.
She needed that time away. However long it felt like, probably at least a couple months, Jane, or maybe a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long that separation was when they weren't talking to each other. But to see that growth, to see that she went to that situation with Kirsten Clemens and didn't go to Jane. She kind of dealt with it by herself in her own way.
Mm-hmm.
And then that it's a small scene, but that apology she gives to Ben in the restaurant
Yeah,
when she
I
comes out. I
really
love
like
that scene.
that.
Yeah.
When he was like, I just thought that you saw me as like your gay
The gay
best
best
friend
friend.
when you were my gay best friend. Which, like, that was a nice little moment. And I appreciated that they both maturely come to a realization like, this is why this wasn't working out. And
Hmm.
that Lucy finally felt comfortable being able to be honest with him. And I think that was really important. And you have a couple other like fun characters, like Molly Gordon, who I love popping up and stuff. She's the very forceful, powerful personality lesbian.
I'm not gonna lie, Shane. When sh when I watched this a couple years ago, I was like, I wasn't sure about her character. I was like, oh, she's gonna get on my nerves really quickly. But they used her just enough where
Just enough.
they
Well,
did
because the
it
thing is,
wasn't
she's
overbearing.
supposed to get
Right.
on Lucy's nerves, but like you don't want that character to like make you not want to watch the movie.
Exactly.
But yeah, she was used sparingly, and she was still obnoxious.
Exactly. But
And,
job well done by Molly Gordon then. Job well done.
yes,
Mission accomplished.
and then you have like Sean Hayes who plays Shane's boss, which that's like just a nice. It's a nice little
I,
casting seeing him pop up in
my
something.
favorite when he gives her the birthday present. Here's a 5-year coupon to wherever. It's like I thought you needed it now, or it felt appropriate to give this to you now. So I'm not leaving for
And
a couple weeks. I'm gonna do it now. Goodbye.
And that, I think that was finally the moment where Jane realized how much she missed Lucy was like her whole birthday situation. Nobody,
Hmm.
it like nobody at work understood her
Nope.
and who she is, what she desires, what makes her happy. And in the end, like Mizuno and Johnson have such great chemistry. It was very interesting because like Mizuno seemed very familiar to me. And I realized that she's from Ex Machina because she's the Kyoko. She's the android that puts the rug with Oscar
Oh,
Isaac's character.
oh,
And like I've seen her pop up in a she's been in all of Alex Garland's stuff, it looks like. And like she had a role in Crazy Rich Asians. So like she's been in quite a few things at this point, but like I feel like this is one of the first times where I really got to see her shine in something, and I want more.
well, she's in
I
House
want
of
to
the
see
Dragon
her.
also.
Hmm?
She is in House of the Dragon as well.
So many goddamn characters
I know, I
in
know,
that show.
I know.
Well, now I'll be paying more attention to when she pops up this new season. It's like if it wasn't Patty Considine turning into a zombie in front of us. And it's just that's the thing. There I would imagine going back and watching Game of Thrones and being like, holy shit, I know so many of these actors in this show because there's just so many people in shows like that. But the ending. So when she's like, I'm going with you, it made perfect sense because what does Lucy have here? She has Jane. She can do art wherever. She's confident now that like she doesn't have anything holding her down, and like it made sense that the two of them would go off together. And 100% I want a sequel of them in London now dealing
But
with
let me
their
see. I don't know if
shenanigans.
she officially moved there. I thought she was just helping with, I thought she was just helping with the transition. That's what I got out of it. Now this shit. Now maybe I missed something else when they're just when the car is driving off into the sunset and whatever, and the credits start rolling. Maybe I
What
missed
I
something.
got out of it was that she's moving. But the thing is, then Lucy has to realize that, like, no, you need like a passport and shit.
Yeah, I think. Well, I remember her saying that she bought her passport, but she didn't have enough. She has a carry on. That's what she said. She had a carry on.
And Jane's like, did it expire? And she's like, they expire.
Oh yeah,
We're
duh.
talking about passport. She's like, what are you gonna do with your car? And she's like, I don't know. It was a very Lucy moment because she is not the
Very Lucy.
planner of the two. But what I gather from that is like she's gonna go off and do her thing with Jane, which I think I would want to see more of that. I'd 100% be down for more of this friendship and then getting up to shenanigans in London.
That's interesting how you interpreted the ending that way. Because I interpreted it as she was just going off to help her for a couple weeks, and then she was going to come back. Because I feel like that time apart from Jane, Lucy discovered that she not just about her self-discovery, about her sexuality, and becoming more confident, but that she could be in California without Jane. That she can do this without her. That's kind of how I interpreted the ending.
Mm.
So we're both wrong, and it's probably something else. But who knows?
According to Wikipedia, it says only to reveal that she will be joining her on her trip to help her ease the transition. Which the thing is like we don't know how long Jane's going to be there either. To be
Exactly. I
fair,
think Jane's gonna come back eventually. Like odds are we're never gonna get a sequel to this movie. It's just a one-off. But
yeah, I'd be down for more, but you're right. This is just a random Max comedy at this point.
well,
So
I hope I don't think Max is ever gonna take this off their streaming service. But I hope it does become available to, like I could buy it digitally somewhere so I can at least store it in my Google library forever and ever. Because this is a really sweet, easy,
mhm.
brisk movie. Like I can watch this whenever. If I have a quick flight somewhere, I can just open up my tablet and watch.
Mhm.
Am I okay? Did I do that on the way back home? I probably did.
He
Shh.
probably did, but he's not going to confirm if he did or not.
No, no. I'll tell Shane later.
But 100%, you should go check this out. It's there, it's on Max. It's an hour and 25 minutes, and it's definitely a great use of your time.
Absolutely. Can we call it a rom-com, Shane? It's
It's a comedy, it has romance in it, it has friendship in it.
like a rom-com slash coming of age
Why
slash.
put labels on it, Rod?
Okay. All right. You know, yes.
Because in the spectrum, Rod, it could be in
Uh,
many different genres.
gee. Is there anything you didn't like about this movie though, Shane?
I feel like narrative beat wise, like you kind of figured where this was going. You kind of understood, like, it's familiar. And like despite the fact that I feel like the Kersey Clemens character fit what she was supposed to do, she wasn't a very interesting character. She was just
No.
flirty and attractive, and that's all she really served for this story.
Well, it's like the Molly Gordon character, right? She was there to kind of push Lucy's character forward. And I'm glad it didn't go the way I thought it was gonna go. Um,
Yeah, and generally, I feel like most of this film is more of a grounded kind of comedy.
Yes,
That
very
whole
much
Tig
so.
Notaro sequence is like silly comedy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that scene, I've watched the movie a few times now. That scene has taken me out of the movie, Shane. The point where last time I watched, I kind of actually just fast forwarded to the next scene because
Movie was
nothing
like an
against
hour and
Tigataro.
22
It's just
minutes.
the yeah, it's just the placement of this. It's just weird. It's just a
Hmm.
weird, silly scene.
I I get the point of trying to show that. Well, and here's the thing: the birthday sequence showed that Molly didn't really get Jane. Like Molly, sorry, Molly Gordon's character really didn't get Jane.
Yeah,
That other scene just kind of felt like an excuse for Tig Notaro to pop up into the movie,
exactly. So,
which it's like she's directing it, so hop on over. But
so
yeah,
yeah,
so those were the little things that kind of stuck out to me.
yeah. It's the Tigataro scene for me, Shane. That's about it. And like you said, the predictability. I've seen so many. I'm sure you have too, Shane. We've seen so many rom-coms to this point now where it's kind of just like we, for the most part, we know what's going to happen. Once in a while you'll get that crazy twist and crazy stupid love where, it's just everything goes off the rails. But I think for this movie being straightforward, that's okay.
Yeah,
Because it really wasn't about the end goal, it was about the journey of Lucy and Jane and their
it was
their
about the
dynamic.
friends we made along the way, or the friendships we kept
That's
together
that's
along the
right.
way.
That's right, Shane.
Absolutely. There you go. But Rod, thank you so much for coming on and talking about Am I Okay?
I was more than okay to come on and talk about this movie with you, Shane. So thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
And was I okay with talking about it? 100%. And you all should definitely be okay with checking it out. But thank you all, as always, for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.